How's it going? Monday, January 8th, 2024. Best baseball player of the year, 1974. I remember that year. That is 50 years ago, right? It's 2024, right? 1974 would be 50 years ago. But you know what happened that year? I started my own company, my own landscape business. I was a self employed, sole proprietor landscape gardener. And I started in 1974. I was 19 years old. And I continued that business for 47 years. No, 43 years. Excuse me. I think 47. That's how many years I've been married. 47 years. But I was in the business of landscape gardening 43 years. Wrote a book on it. Retired in 2017. So 1974 is a special year to me. Best baseball player that year? Rod Carew. 1974 won 4 categories. Won the batting title, 364. Most hits, 218. Most singles, 180. And best on-base percentage, 433. 4 categories, nobody else had more. So Rod Carew, best baseball player. Mike Schmidt had the homers. Ralph Carr, the triples. Pete Rose, the doubles. Johnny Bench, the runs batted in. Pete Rose, runs scored. Two categories for Pete. Dick Allen, slugging. Darrell Evans, the walks. Stolen bases. Lou Brock. And Johnny Bench had the total bases. So two categories for Pete Rose. 2 for Johnny Bench. But 4 for Rod Carew. Let's look at his year. Hall of Famer. 328 career batting average. 3,053 hits. Hall of Fame. And batting titles. Don't know how many he had. I think 5 or 6, right? Maybe more. Maybe he had more. I'd have to look that up. Could be that he had 7 batting titles. I don't know if he had that many. But 1974, let's look at the year, 153 games, 599 at bats, and he gets 218 hits. Only had 86 runs scored. I was a little disappointed there. I like to see 100 runs scored season. He had 86. 30 doubles. Listen to this. He had 3 homers all year. Not a home run guy, but he's a contact singles hitter. He had 180 singles, 30 doubles, 5 triples. Stole some bases, 38, but this is what I like. Batting average, 364. He had 599 at bats and maintains 364 to lead both leagues. 433 on base, that led the league. Rod Carew, Hall of Famer. I like him. He's got 2,469 games, and he batted 9,315 times. So he's not a fluke. He's legitimate. He's solid. You have 9,000 at bats, and he maintained 328 career. I like that. Remember, I told you I like batting averages. And I think if you're in the Hall of Fame, you got to be over 300. And if you're 320 or higher, you're good. 330 and higher, very, very good. 340, exceptionally good. And of course, 350 and 360, you're on another level. And you know these guys who have these high batting averages career, A lot of them have 8, 9, and 10,000 at bats. It's not just 3 or 4,000 at bats. Because if you can have a 350 batting average with just 3,000 at bats, you can question it. But if you go 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 at bats and you're batting over 350, like Roger Hornsby and Ty Cobb. Ty Cobb, 366, and he had 11,000 at bats. Hornsby had about 8,000 at bats, I think it was. Joe Jackson's another guy. I think he had about 6,000 or 7,000 at bats. He got suspended. 356 for Joe Jackson, 358 for Roger Hornsby. But Rod Carew, he's legitimate. 9,315 at bats, 328 career, and he has 3,053 hits. I like that. Only concern on Carew, he had 1,000 strikeouts in his career. Compare that with other Hall of Famers. Tony Gwynn had about 450 strikeouts. He had about the same number at bats. See, Rod Carew had 1,000. He had double. Ted Williams had about 500 or 600 strikeouts. Some of the other guys, I think Ty Cobb had about 600 or 700 strikeouts. See, but Cobb had like about 3,000 more at bats, and yet he struck out less than Rod Carew. So the only thing on Carew I would look at is, why did he strike out 1,000 times if he's a contact hitter? Maybe he's facing tough pitching. That could be. He's got to face, the pitchers in the 60s and 70s and a little bit in the 80s. They were Hall of Fame pitchers then. But of course, back in the day, they were Hall of Fame pitchers. So I don't know about that argument. The other thing on Carew, he only hit 92 homers for his career. Now, I know Ty Cobb only had about 120 homers. Hornsby had 300 homers. I would think with Rod Carew playing 19 years, 2,469 games, I'd like to have seen about 200 homers. Because you got to have that threat too, not just poking at the ball, poke at it, bunt singles or infield singles, or just slapping the ball to get the base hit. I think he was that kind of a hitter, and it paid off with the batting titles and the 3,053 hits. Also, he has 445 doubles. That indicates to me, see, some of the other Hall of Famers, they have 500, 600 doubles, and they're having the same number of bats. I would like to have seen 500 doubles from Rod Carew. Because when you're hitting the double, you're hitting the ball harder. The fact that he only had 445 indicates that a lot of his hits were singles in his career. If you want to look, that's the type of hitter Rod Carew is. I like his stance. When he was standing at the plate, he was hard to get out. We cover Rod Carew, Hall of Famer. Nice season, 364. Oh, I like that average. It's just, see, it's not just a 310 average or 320 or 330. He goes all the way up to 364, and he played almost the whole season. That indicates quality ball player, quality hitter. Rod Carew wins 1974. 1975 is next. Who wins it? Stay tuned. I'm out.